Tiny house villages are popping up all over the country. On the last Financial Friday episode, I finally got the chance to visit one called Tiny House Block in the beautiful mountain area of Mount Laguna, California. I'm so glad I did. I met Gail, a retiree, who allowed me to tour her spectacular tiny home and DIY shed. Over the next 2 videos, I'm going to take you with me as I learn more about this tiny house village and tour a mid-sized tiny home and a mini tiny home. Well, hello, Nick and Natalie.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Oh my goodness, when I came up here, I just felt like I was on the top of the world. It's so beautiful.
Yes.
As I'm looking around here. Now, this is a tiny home village, I guess you would call it.
Yes.
And the name of it again?
Tiny House Block.
Tiny House Block. And that's kind of a pun, isn't it? On
Yeah.
words, because the owners, their last name is Block.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So now, now you, first of all, you two are not a couple, you're not married, just to let people know.
Let's set the record straight.
Yeah, let's
Clear
set
it
the
up.
record
Save
straight.
some time in the questioning. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you both happen to be up here?
I came up here in March of 2020 to mountain bike, and then I found the area here and decided to move into a tiny house, and then I bought the tiny house, and now I'm a tiny home owner.
And you're working now at Tiny.
Yes, and then about 6 months into living here, I was hired to be the property manager.
Okay, and how about you, Natalie? What is your story of how you came to be here?
Very interested in tiny homes since about 2016. I began researching the tiny house movement, and it's always been a huge dream and goal of mine. So when I first found out about this community, I had started to follow them on the internet for a couple of years, and then eventually I just started calling them until they gave me a job.
Persistence paid off in that instance.
But yeah, and then I live here on site. I've been living here for about 1.5 years now,
Okay.
and then I'm the short-term rentals manager here.
Yes.
Okay,
and then
very
not
good.
pictured is Jake, and he is our maintenance technician.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's the 3 of us, and we all live on site, and we all run the community.
Now, how many tiny homes are on site?
Currently, we have 22.
And of those, how many are owned by owners and how many are rented through the company?
16 are owned by Tiny House Block.
Okay.
3 of those are
The short-term rentals.
short-term rentals,
Okay.
and then the other 7, spaces, are owners. So I think
Yeah.
we have 6 or 7 tiny home owners that rent spaces.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you basically, so let's clear that up. You have spaces that a person who owns a tiny home can come up and rent.
Correct.
And then you have tiny homes that are for rent with the spaces.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't we go around and
Yeah.
look at this beautiful place and see the different kinds of tiny homes that are up here.
Yeah. Come on out.
All right. We've got a lot of wind noise here, but I'm going to try and speak up. And if you two will also. Now, do you have any guidelines as to what is required for someone to be here in their own tiny house?
We do. Yeah. We have just a length limit of 32 feet.
Okay.
And then, width, it can be up to, usually 10 is like kind of the max anyway.
Okay.
But we have up to 11 that on site here, and it's just a small, but the length is still within 32. The reason being is because this used to be an RV park, so the spaces are only so big.
Okay. Now let me ask you. Now, like this one,
Mhm.
is this one on wheels? Are these most of them on wheels?
Yeah, 100% of them are on wheels. We've skirted all of the trailers so that
okay.
you can't see the undercarriage.
Okay. I would imagine that this skirting, in addition to hiding the wheels, is also providing some insulation from underneath, from weather.
Definitely. Yeah, it cuts down the breeze going underneath the house, so it keeps it, it's like a vapor barrier underneath the house.
Okay.
And it helps In the winter, it gets really cold up here, so it doesn't help as much as we'd like it, but it's definitely better than just having it open to the elements.
Now, what is the elevation up here?
We're at 6,000
Okay, so yeah, you do get a good amount of snow
We
sometimes.
do.
I'm looking at just the difference between these three houses. Like this one has a deck and a telescope. This one is more rustic up here. And then over here, you've got kind of a little more modern look. So you've got a little bit of everything.
Yes, definitely.
And I did an interview with Gail today, and she is a very modern and very crafty. Now she seems to have, is her lot bigger, or is it just that the way that she has it designed that makes it look bigger?
The yards of each house they all work out to be about the same.
Oh,
They're
okay.
about 25 feet by 35 to 40. And yeah, the way you utilize your yard can make all the difference, as is in the tiny house itself.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah, Gail's done a great job to build up the back of her
Right.
fence line to be able to utilize the space.
Right.
So she's done a great job here as a tiny owner, and really building her yard to make it work.
And really enhances her living space.
Exactly.
Yeah, and she's been here for over a year now, and she loves to garden and do outdoor activities, so she's had a lot of time to make it her own.
It's really beautiful. Well, why don't we go look at some more? Because I saw a very small one over here that I wanted to look at.
Yeah.
And you were telling me you rarely have openings for rentals, but right now you have one, and I'd like to go look at that one.
We
Yeah,
do.
we can actually, we're
Number
right-
15.
Right here.
Oh, 15. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we go on in and see what this looks like? Now, it's already furnished, or did they bring their own furniture?
This one is unfurnished.
Well, Natalie, you're going to be giving us the tour. So let me ask you first, before we get started, about how many square feet is this particular tiny home?
This tiny house is 244 square feet. Down here in the main living area is 175, and then upstairs in the loft bedroom is 71.
This really, when a person says 240 or 244 square feet, you think that you're going to see something that's really tiny that looks like maybe the size of a bathroom almost, but this is really spacious.
Yeah, and it's all about the way that they've used the space. It makes a huge difference when you have creative storage solutions in tiny homes. Like over here under the stairs, there's a ton of opportunities for people to store their things. You could store cookware, pots and pans, baking sheets. You could even store your clothes here.
Yeah, you could. Now, I see you also have cabinets over here in the kitchen.
Yes, this one has ample cabinet space, and then it also has the benefit of having full-sized appliances. So being in this tiny house is just like cooking in a regular kitchen.
And you have plenty of counter space for chopping and cooking.
Yeah. You could even get a big cutting board and put it over the sink to add extra counter space.
All right. And I'm going to take a shot of this refrigerator here because it's a full-size refrigerator. All right. Wow. And I guess probably the really high ceilings is what adds to that feeling of spaciousness.
Absolutely. And most tiny homes are designed with high ceilings to add to that also. And
Okay.
most people who aren't familiar with tinies can never guess the actual square footage because it feels so much bigger.
Right. I would never have thought this was the size that it is in terms of square footage.
And here's the bathroom. It's very spacious, completely full-size shower, and also the toilet and vanity here.
That's a really big shower. That's bigger than the shower in my house.
Definitely.
I was surprised when I walked through the door of this bathroom to see how much space was in here.
Yeah, and then over here is some additional storage space. There's a rod here where you could have hangers to hang some clothes, and then you could fold additional clothes and put them here. You could put towels. There's a lot of options.
Now, what kind of toilet is this? Is it an RV toilet or is it a standard toilet?
This is a regular flush toilet.
Okay.
We have a couple of tiny homes that have an RV toilet, but those are
Alright.
in our short-term rental houses.
Okay.
But all of our long-term rental homes have a traditional flush toilet that connects to the septic system, so it's just like being in a regular home.
There really is enough space in here to get dressed. I mean, with the mirror, there's enough space. I'm turning completely around, and I can do that very easily. You know what? Let's go ahead and take a look upstairs. I had Natalie sit down so viewers could get an idea of how much headspace there is if she was sitting in bed. So basically, there is quite a bit of headspace if you were sitting in bed still.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm 5'1" for reference, so I'm definitely on the shorter side of people.
Okay.
But there is ample headroom in this loft. This loft is taller than the loft of most tiny homes, and it's really, really spacious.
So it looks like, I don't know the measurements, but it looks like a queen size bed could fit up here.
You could fit a king size bed up here.
Oh, wow.
It's really big.
And you've got two windows on this side. And you've got two more windows on this side. So you have a lot of light. And then that's what kind of, I forget, what do they call those?
A mini split.
A mini split, that's right. So you've got a heater and air conditioner.
Correct.
And with it being so small, I imagine that is sufficient to take care of the whole unit.
Yes, definitely.
So there really is a lot of light coming in here. You've got the windows on the side, the windows in the bedroom area, the windows over the door, and then the windows again going up the staircase. So, this just is a cute little abode for someone who's looking to be living a more minimalistic life and doesn't want to have all kinds of stuff hoarded in here. But it really is more than adequate. Exactly. and gives the feeling of spaciousness. I hope you enjoyed visiting Tiny House Block as much as I did. Stay tuned for the last video on this little community, where we will be touring an even smaller mini tiny home. See you later.